Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Align Plans. First of all, I'm so glad to be back. I'm so glad that you're here, you're hanging out with me today. So in today's video, I wanted to give you sort of part 2 of the travel update. I wanted to give you guys a quick little update on what worked and what didn't work in my travels for 2 weeks in Europe. So if you're planning on doing a longer term trip, or you're traveling with children and you kind of wanted to see, is it really worth packing less and doing it in a carry-on, and then this video is definitely going to be for you. So why don't we just dive right in. I'm going to share with you what has worked, what really didn't work and I wish I would have changed, and what is something that I'm going to change for next time that I kind of wanted to dive deeper into. I'll explain this and when the time comes. Okay, so let's first I'll give you like a little bit of an update on kind of like where I went, how long I was there, and how we actually ended up traveling. In case you didn't get a chance to catch my last video, I brought you along to my packing video. I'll just put that in the cards up there so you can check that out. But I was packing for 2 weeks to go to Europe, and we were packing like our entire family. Everybody was bringing a carry-on and a backpack, and I traveled with 3 children and my husband, and we went to 4 different cities over the course of 2 weeks and 2 different countries. So we went to Portugal first, we stayed in Lisbon, and then we went over to Porto, and then from there we took a high-speed train to go over to Valencia in Spain. So we stayed there for a few days, and then we finally ended up in Barcelona, and also we went with the train as well. So I should also preface that we did not actually rent a vehicle while we were there. We were only relying on public transport completely. And yeah, 3 kids. It's been it was not a vacation, I will say this. So if you're planning on traveling, just understand the difference between traveling and vacationing. This was not one of those getaways where you go and then you hang out on the beach for 2 weeks and then you come back fully rested and relaxed. I will say it has taken me quite a few days to not only fight out the jet lag, but also to just kind of get back into the routine of things. It's been extremely tiring, but completely worth it. So would I do it again? Absolutely I would. So let's start with what actually worked well when it comes to this travel. Obviously what worked really well is packing a lot less. I've seen people getting both on the train and on the airplane and on public transit. A lot of people were, especially in Portugal, a lot of people were like heavily relying on public transit. And so to just packing less and going with a carry-on and a backpack has made it tremendously easier than it has for us in the past. In the past, we would have packed like 2 full suitcases and then a carry-on and some backpacks. So the fact that we went with less, I'm forever and eternally grateful for those videos and that research time that I've taken to actually just figure out how to really just go on with a lot less. The other thing that worked really well is, along with having a carry-on suitcase, we also invested in a travel backpack. So when I say backpack, I don't necessarily mean the backpack that I would wear, let's say, to go to my work, where the only thing that I'm taking with me is an iPad and maybe my Kindle and some food. I'm talking about a travel backpack that is a little bit bigger, and it just has like multiple compartments. You can pack anything and everything that you need as you're traveling, but also you want to kind of have it with you. So this could be like your personal size item. I will mention that both of the backpacks that I'm going to mention in this video are, they completely slide under the seat, even in Ryanair. So if you're traveling within Europe and you're taking short flights from one country to the other, both backpacks are completely approved and they pass with flying colors, in case you end up investing in the same one as what we have. So having a travel backpack has been tremendously helpful, mainly because not only does it have multiple compartments, but it also has compartments and secret compartments for both carrying your keys as well as your valuables, such as if you wanted to put away your wallet or your money or it's the same thing. If you wanted to put away your wallet or your passport, it does have secret compartments. One is a little bit more superior in my opinion than the other. So the two backpacks that we have taken with us, one is the Mono's Metro backpack. The other one is the Notiq backpack. So Notiq is far more functional in my opinion, but it's also, I ended up basically giving it to my husband because it just made so much sense. For him, it's the perfect size. It is suitable for myself as well, but it felt redundant to have two of the same backpacks. But I'm glad that I invested in both of them. I love the Monos as well as the Notiq. The Notiq, you will find that it has a lot more secret compartments, so you potentially have the ability of putting a lot more smaller pieces of items. I will show you a close-up of both of them in a moment, and that will, what I'm telling you, will make a lot more sense. The other thing that worked really, really well for us, and I'm so glad that we managed to invest in it, was packing cubes. This was actually the first time that we've heard about packing cubes. Again, we haven't traveled for quite a few years, so this was actually our first time kind of dipping our feet back into the travel scene. So, but just honestly, part of me is just kind of wondering, what have I been doing all this time? Having packing cubes have made things, finding things, repacking things, as you can imagine, going from the airport to the first city, then from the first city to taking the train. So we were on and off, we were packing and repacking everything continuously. So that being said, having a packing cube that is dedicated for tops, for bottoms, for baby clothes, it was tremendously helpful. And it also made it really, really easy for me to kind of find things. And it also made it really easy for me to repack it because I already knew that it's going to fit in those compartments. So if you can invest in travel cubes, if you don't already have them, if you have them, you already know this is fantastic. If you don't already have it, I would highly recommend that you invest in it. The other thing that has worked really well for us is these small little cases. And actually that leads me into my next point. I think this was actually the moment that I decided that I will reinvest in going back to cloth and paper, because a lot of these small little carry-on cases were from cloth and paper. And at the time, I just didn't really have a use for them. So when they were sending this in sub boxes, I didn't care for it. But now that I had a full use for it, I saw exactly how useful and functional these were. So I have a few. So this is, it's a pencil case, and I was using this as a pencil case. Obviously you can use this however you wish. I love that it's, first of all, actually all of the ones that I'm about to show you are clear, but on the inside, it does have a little removable pouch, and I was basically putting like little flags. I packed this up so that it had both my fountain pens, my gel pens, and I think I still have it here. And I just made like a little card with like the sample sized washi tapes that fit perfectly in here. But along with that, any extra paperwork that I wanted to kind of put in here, because it kind of closes shut, it made it really, really simple. The other thing that I used was I made like a little first aid kit. So this is what it looks like. It opens on both sides here, and it has basically just some band-aids, some swabbing alcohol, and I also have my little carry-on size oh my gosh, what are you? My carry-on size razor blades. But having it clear and fully visible has made it super, super easy. So if you can do a small little first aid kit like this, I think it'll make it so much easier for you to actually find things. Now, this was actually in my backpack. So this little baggie is also from Cloth and Paper. And I basically just had like a little travel size Kleenex in there, a chapstick. We did end up purchasing travel size sugar cubes because some of the Airbnbs that we stayed at didn't actually have any sugar. They also didn't have creamer, which was, that's another thing to talk about. But we just kind of filled this up, and then this actually had all of my little, it had like sunscreen, I put in my toothbrush just in case I had to check in my luggage, so that at least I can deodorant, like small travel size deodorant, and toothbrush and toothpaste. So it fits everything in here perfectly. And I love that if you look in the bottom, see how it's kind of square, that it just kind of slides right into your backpack. It doesn't take up a lot of space, but as far as finding things, it made it tremendously easier. So if you can invest in clear bags or clear like containers like this, it'll make your life 1,000 times easier. Now let's talk about the 2-shoe rule. Partially it was difficult because I wanted to take runners, I wanted to take sneakers, maybe like nice little slip-ons that I can kind of wear when we go out. So part of me intuitively wanted to take more than just 2 shoes, but at the end I took white sneakers, which kind of went with everything that I took, as well as running shoes. Again, if you haven't seen the full packing video, just check it out. Not having to take too many shoes means that I was wearing one and I was only packing one, which meant that size-wise, I was already kind of fitting into my suitcase like really well. So that part was really, really helpful. I would not change a thing about that. Let's talk about Kindle. Kindle was another one of those things where I could just connect anywhere. It was on all the time. The light was adjusting. So a lot of the times I found myself, especially on long flights, that I was basically reading more rather than watching shows and things like that. So if you love reading, you will find that it's probably going to be a lot easier and economical than for you to take an actual physical book, which we will talk about in a minute. Layers and athletic wear. So when it comes to clothing, you probably noticed that while I was packing, a lot of the clothes that I was buying or that I was packing were either athletic wear or it was lots of neutrals. If you can kind of swing it in that direction, everything will kind of go with everything. Having athletic wear means that I was layered well enough, I wasn't cold, and it also meant that kind of everything went with everything. And especially if you're going to places in Europe or places where it's quite warm, having athletic wear means that your clothes are going to breathe a lot easier. And I've noticed that especially by the time we made it to Valencia, it was so hot and humid that basically all we wore was athletic wear. Let's talk about converters. I only bought one converter. It was very helpful. I will just pop a picture of it right here. Buying one converter meant that we have one converter whether we travel to Europe or Asia. It just works, especially when it comes to charging. We found that the thing was actually charging our iPads and our phones significantly faster. Now, the only thing that I will say about the converter or the adapter is that it was not working with our blow dryer. I know, it's like a whole conversation, but just kind of keep that in mind, that if you're planning on taking your hair dryer with you, more than likely it will not work in Europe because it's different and the power adaptability is different. So just learn from me, trust me. Small toys. Now, when it comes to children, you already kind of know that when you're traveling with children, you need to have like something that will kind of keep them entertained, or it will keep them away from being bored. It's not so much that they need entertainment all the time, is that they kind of get restless after a few hours and they want something to do. So I went to the dollar store here in my town before we left, and I bought these small little dinky cars. And I bought, I think, like 2 or 3. We only took 2 with us, but I'm telling you, between the plane and the train and pretty much everywhere we went, it was a godsend. Like, he would play with that non-stop, and I didn't feel like I needed to take 1,000 toys with us in order for us to entertain him. It was just having 1 or 2 toys was more than sufficient to just kind of keep him entertained. It was keeping things exciting. So anyways, if you can invest in small little toys that you can just kind of throw in your backpack, it will be a life changer. Let's talk about carry-on strollers. That was the other thing that we invested in before we left. We wanted something that it's like an umbrella stroller that just kind of collapses into next to nothing. You're not going to feel bad if you lose it, but super, super helpful. It was sturdy enough. He could fall asleep in it. And honestly, you're not really going to be using the bottom compartment to pack anything, but it was really nice to just kind of shade him away from the direct sun, especially midway through the day. That's it for what was working. Now let's talk about what didn't really work and what I wish I kind of would have done differently. What didn't work is that I took my blow dryer with me, because I always do. It was just one of those things that I was so used to taking my blow dryer. Keep in mind, like, there's 3 females in this family and we all have long hair. So for me to not take a blow dryer kind of felt really risky. I'm used to taking my blow dryer. But unfortunately, I couldn't use it, not once, because the adapter and the power outage was just completely different. That the ability for my blow dryer to work in Europe was just not happening. And then we also found that out of the 4 Airbnbs, about 3 of them actually had a blow dryer, so it was kind of a non-issue. But at one point, I did contemplate just letting my hair air dry, which it would not have ended well. We also took a few books with us. I only took like 1 or 2 books with me. It was a pain in the butt. It was just such a pain for me to carry on the books. I kind of wish I would have just left them here and bought it for my Kindle for $10. It would have ended a lot better. Not having enough shows downloaded on both my phone and on my iPad. On my iPad, I try my best to kind of have enough shows downloaded on both Netflix, and we are also subscribed to this network called Yippee. For children, it's fantastic. It's a faith-based network that has like so many fun shows. A lot of them are with children or they are made for children. Anyways, it's not a plug for them, but I just thought I would mention it. Anyway, I didn't find that I have enough shows downloaded, or enough games for that matter. So if you're traveling, make sure that you have enough games downloaded before you go. Headphones and headphone adapters. We do have wireless headphones, which was great, but I didn't have enough just wired headphones that could just plug right into the plane or into just a normal headphone jack. And I didn't have the adapters even for the Apple headphones. I had the Apple headphones, but I didn't have the actual adapter that would convert it into just a normal headphone jack. So just keep that in mind, that if you're taking your own headphones, just make sure that you have the adapter ready. I took my travel-sized notebook and I had like 2 notebooks in there. I also took my common planner, and I think that's all I took. Oh, and then I took my Hobonichi Weeks. Hobonichi Weeks was sufficient. I didn't need to take the notebooks. I wasn't really using them, and I didn't need to take the common planner, even though I was using it a couple of times. But I could have waited until I come home to actually update our finances and all of that stuff, because most of it I did already have it. I did already have access to it digitally. So it kind of felt eventually that I'm just kind of trying to like place it in my backpack in places where it's not really going to get damaged, that it's not going to get wrinkled. It just felt really redundant, and I didn't really need to do that. So going forward, would I take that with me? No, I think that having just a Hobonichi Weeks would be perfectly fine. And the one thing that I wish that I would kind of change is either to invest in a really good quality sling, something that kind of slings over your body, or in like a carry-on little pouch wallet. We had one, but that was for my daughter. I kind of wish I had something similar, or like a travel wallet. I had one that just had a slot for cards, but I didn't have one that would have a slot for both coins as well as cash. So that I would absolutely change. Now, what did we learn? I wish that I would have taken a little bit more time in planning out our days. It felt a little hectic for us to just get there, and we did feel a little bit scrambled at certain days, and then we tried to plan out the following day around midnight the same day. So it just felt like it was just too much at times. And I wish I would have, so I will say this, I wish I would have researched transportation connections a little bit better. We didn't get lost on either one of the countries. And given the fact that neither one of us spoke the language, that's actually pretty impressive, and traveling with 3 kids. However, I wish that I would have plotted out a lot more places to see, and then seeing how much public transportation costs. In some places, you will find that in Spain specifically, you can actually just pay with your card. You don't actually have to have cash with you to ride public transportation. Whereas in Portugal, you definitely need to have cash, and it's a lot more inexpensive than if you take cabs or Ubers everywhere. And I wish that I would have had a lot more time available to also spend more time learning the language, because once I started to pick up the language, it made communication significantly easier. Communication just flows a little bit better when you speak the language. That's all I'm going to say. Overall, I'm very proud of the fact that we went and we kind of explored and we started learning the language, and we did take public transportation pretty much everywhere we went, and I would highly recommend that you do the same, because getting on and off, you know, especially with driving, it's so different than it is in North America. The roads are more narrow, the cars are smaller, and everybody drives a little bit more reactively. I don't want to say aggressive because it's not really true, but if you're not used to the flow of traffic the way that it flows in Europe, then it will definitely give you a nervous breakdown. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, let's talk about the backpacks. I will show you guys a close-up of both of them so you kind of see what I mean. No regrets. I'm very happy to be back. Oh, and some of you asked about the TSA check-ins. So with monos, it does have like a little TSA lock. It was not an issue. While traveling into Portugal, they did ask me if I am taking a razor with me in my carry-on, and I said yes. They asked me to just take apart my travel. Basically, I showed you guys like that zero waste, oh my gosh, what is it called? A razor that I use, and it does come apart quite easily. You can just take that razor off. They threw it out and then they said, off you go. When we made it into, when we were traveling back from Barcelona to Toronto, they did ask if I have a razor. I said yes. I asked them if they wanted me to show that I did take the razor blade off of the razor. So everything else was completely wrapped up and packaged. So I didn't have like open razor blades anywhere. But they were totally fine. So as long as you have like your razor blades like separately packaged from having it inserted into your razor, for the most part, they are usually fine. But once I showed it to them, they're totally okay with it. So I hope that answers your question. So this is the nomadic backpack. So it does need to have a little bit of a wipe down, but that's one thing that I actually really love about it, is that it doesn't, you can just wipe this down if it gets dirty, which is really great. At the very top, it has like this large pocket that just kind of opens up, and it does have like the secret compartment, which I mentioned. And again, like inside, you can kind of see that you have a pocket here. You do have two little pockets up here. Again, a secret zippered pouch thing here. And then this part, it opens up at the very top. And then even there, inside of that, there's also another pocket, which is really, again, like tons of compartments that you can just kind of use for whatever you need. Then it gets a little bit more complicated. So you do have like a small little secret compartment here for your wallet. And then you do have two sets of zippers, but basically they both kind of open up like it's a massive suitcase. So this is one side, and actually here is the adapter that I mentioned a little bit earlier. Again, if I find the link for it, I will just leave the link in the description. Again, two more pockets here. And then in the back, you can kind of put your shoes on, but this connects with the one that opens up here. So here, this is sort of like the extension in case you need it. But it's kind of nice that this sort of opens up completely, and then you can leave your shoes there or whatever you kind of need to. It also has like a little compartment here on the side for your sunglasses, and then there's another little pouch here on the inner for your keys, which is really great. But again, like this is huge. And then in the back, again, it kind of just opens up. You can put your laptop here, or you can put your laptop back there. So tons of space, which is what I love about it. But I wanted something for myself. I wanted something a little bit sleeker. But I mean, it is pretty posh. It doesn't feel like, it just feels like a really cool, cute little backpack. And then the one that I got for myself, this is the Mono's, oh my gosh, Mono's Metro backpack. So first of all, this section, there is a little lever here in the bottom. You pull on it, and then this completely comes right off in case you need it. I kind of like that it's attached there. It has tons of little compartments. And then this side completely opens right up. And then in here, again, I'll just show you a close-up so that you can kind of see. So here's a better view. So you have one large compartment. This is for your laptop if you want it. Another big zipper. And this also kind of just zips right up in case you need it. And then right now it's a little, obviously it's a little dirty, obviously, because we just used it. But two big like bottle holders, and then in the back of it, this also kind of zips down, and then you can pack even more things here. This I kind of like because inside of this material, you can actually put like wet bathing suits or anything like that after the beach. And then at the very top, you have another compartment where you can put like your laptop, your Kindle, whatever you need, and then that also zips up. In the back, you also have this secret little compartment, again, for your wallet. It's big enough so that you can put in your passport if you wanted to, or you can put money. And then this just kind of ties over your suitcase. Again, I've tested this, and this works really, really great at Ryanair. They're both about the same size. This is more feminine in my opinion, and this one is fantastic for males. But if you guys have any other questions as to how everything went and what I would recommend, just comment down below and let me know. I wanted to thank you guys. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for allowing me to just kind of return back, catch my breath a little bit. I so appreciate you hanging out with me here. And just keep planning, keep journaling. I promise that our next video, we're definitely diving back into planner world, into journaling and all of that good stuff. And we can talk about inking and all of that. So that's all I have for you today. I hope that you found this helpful and useful. If you did, you can hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. You can also hit the like button so that I know you like videos such as this one. And just keep planning, keep journaling, and I cannot wait to see you in my next one. Bye.